Oil prices climbed sharply Sunday as tensions escalated between the United States and Iran over control of the Strait of Hormuz. Brentcrude rose to $96.25 per barrel. Meanwhile, U.S. crude oil reached $87.88 per barrel, marking a significant increase from the previous day. The standoff began when President Donald Trump announced that the U.S. Navy would maintain its blockade of Iranian ports despite Iran's earlier promise to reopen the Strait of Hormuz for commercial traffic. This decision led to heightened naval confrontations and further disruptions in oil shipments through one of the world's most crucial waterways. Energy Secretary Chris Wright acknowledged the sharp price rise, but noted that prices might have peaked, signaling potential relief for consumers in the future. However, he emphasized that any reduction in fuel costs could take several months, reflecting ongoing uncertainty over the resolution of the conflict. Since the start of hostilities on February 28, this latest escalation marks another round in a series of tense negotiations and temporary ceasefires between the U.S., Iran, and other Gulf states. Ongoing disruptions to oil supplies have had significant global economic impacts, with countries in Asia and Europe feeling the brunt of supply shortages. With a 2-week ceasefire set to expire Wednesday, there's growing concern about further escalation in the region. The continued closure of the Strait of Hormuz could lead to prolonged higher fuel costs for businesses and consumers worldwide, underscoring the immediate economic stakes of resolving this crisis. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney addressed the shifting dynamics in Canada's economic relationship with the United States, stating that once strong ties have now become a liability due to recent tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. In an address from Vancouver on Sunday, Carney emphasized his government's efforts to diversify and secure new trade deals. Carney highlighted how increased U.S. tariffs are affecting workers in auto and steel industries across Canada. He warned that ongoing economic uncertainties are causing businesses to hold back investments, exacerbating the situation further. Tariffs imposed by the United States have strained traditional partnerships, pushing Canada towards recalibrating its global trade strategy. Prime Minister Carney's comments reflect a broader shift in international trade dynamics as countries adjust their strategies amid changing U.S. policies under President Trump. The remarks come during discussions to review and renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, signaling a renewed focus on securing economic stability through diversified partnerships. Looking ahead, Prime Minister Carney plans to provide regular updates on his government's progress in diversifying Canada's economy away from heavy reliance on U.S. trade relations. This strategic pivot aims to enhance Canada's resilience against future disruptions and uncertainties posed by its southern neighbors' policy changes. The U.S. government has committed $50 million to the Phalaborwa Rare Earths Project, an initiative aiming to extract rare earth minerals from mining waste in South Africa. This investment is part of broader efforts by the United States to reduce its reliance on China for critical minerals. Despite diplomatic tensions between the two countries under previous administrations, economic interests have prevailed. The project, developed by Rainbow Rare Earths and supported through TechMet, a company focused on securing mineral supplies for Western nations, aims to start operations in 2028. The Phalaborwa project will focus on extracting rare earth elements like neodymium and praseodymium from existing industrial waste, with the goal of supplying key components used in defense systems, electric vehicles, and other high-tech products. The investment by the International Development Finance Corporation underscores the strategic importance of this initiative to U.S. economic and national security goals. The project's innovative approach could provide a more cost-effective and environmentally friendly method for extracting rare earth minerals compared to traditional mining techniques. However, the exact location within South Africa remains unconfirmed. With operations set to begin in 2028, the Phalaborwa Rare Earths Project represents an important step forward in the U.S.'s push to secure critical mineral supplies from sources beyond China. Russian strikes in Ukraine on Sunday killed at least 2 people, including a 16-year-old boy in Chernihiv. The attack also injured 4 others and set several houses ablaze. Local officials reported the drone strike hit during the night. In response, the Ukrainian military targeted a drone factory inside Russia with domestically made cruise missiles. The facility is located near Taganrog in southwestern Russia and produces drones used by Russian forces. According to Ukraine's general staff, the attack sparked fires at the Atlant Aero factory. Meanwhile, an overnight mass shooting in Kyiv left 6 dead and 14 injured before the gunman was killed by police. An official inquiry has been launched into the incident. Ukrainian authorities are investigating but have not ruled out a link to Russian aggression. These actions mark a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, with both sides conducting strategic military operations inside each other's territories using advanced weaponry like drones and cruise missiles. A humanoid robot from Honor, a Chinese smartphone maker, won the Beijing half-marathon race for robots and set a new standard by beating the human world record. The winning robot completed the 21 kilometers course in just 50 minutes and 26 seconds, surpassing Uganda's Jacob Kiplemo's time of about 57 minutes. The event highlights China's rapid advancement in robotics technology. This year's race saw significant improvements over last year, with one robot finishing nearly 2 hours faster than the previous winner. About 40% of the robots navigated the course autonomously, showcasing advancements in autonomous navigation and structural reliability. China's progress in robotics not only marks a technological milestone, but also underscores growing competition with the United States. With national security implications at play, Beijing's 5-year plan emphasizes accelerating the development and application of humanoid robots like those seen in this race. Looking ahead, experts predict potential industrial applications for these technologies, signaling the dawn of a new era where robotics could redefine efficiency and productivity across various sectors. The NBA and Justice Department are making significant changes to their hiring practices, implementing new measures designed to attract more recruits after a wave of departures. These changes include relaxed hiring requirements and accelerated training for transfers from other agencies. Over the past year, the NBA has seen a 112% increase in applications, but it's unclear if these applicants meet high-caliber standards. Meanwhile, the Justice Department reports losing nearly 1,000 assistant U.S. attorneys due to resignations. Critics argue that these reforms could undermine professional expertise within critical roles like preventing terrorism and prosecuting complex cases. Changes reflect broader efforts to stabilize staffing levels strained by retirements and departures following concerns over politicization under previous administrations. As the agencies move forward with these adjustments, questions remain about whether these new measures will effectively address workforce issues while maintaining long-established standards. North Korea launched multiple short-range ballistic missiles toward its eastern waters on April 19, according to South Korean officials. This development comes days after the UN's nuclear watchdog warned of significant advancements in North Korea's nuclear capabilities. The launches have prompted a coordinated response from South Korea, Japan, and the United States, who are closely monitoring these missile tests for any potential provocations. South Korean President Lee Myung was out of the country at the time of the launches, leaving his government to address regional concerns over security and stability. North Korea has conducted several weapons tests this year, including submarine-launched ballistic missiles and solid-fuel engine tests capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. The recent activities have raised alarms about the potential for increased tensions in East Asia, as international observers speculate that these actions may be aimed at boosting North Korea's negotiating leverage with the United States. The joint efforts of South Korean, Japanese, American defense forces underscore the shared concerns over regional security following North Korea's latest missile launches. The situation remains under close scrutiny by all involved parties to ensure a coordinated response in maintaining peace and stability in the region. The United States seized an Iranian-flagged ship near the Strait of Hormuz Sunday morning, citing its evasion of a naval blockade imposed last week by U.S. forces. The incident marks the first interception since the blockade began and has escalated tensions between Iran and the U.S. Iran's Joint Military Command responded with strong criticism, calling the action piracy and accusing the U.S. of violating a ceasefire agreement set to expire Wednesday. Oil prices have risen as a result of heightened tensions in the region, where nearly one-fifth of global oil trade transits through the strategically vital strait. The seizure came amid ongoing negotiations scheduled to take place in Pakistan this week. However, talks between Iran and the U.S. remain uncertain following President Donald Trump's threats against Iranian infrastructure. Pakistani officials are preparing security measures for potential discussions, but have not confirmed a second round of meetings, with diplomatic channels strained and both sides accusing each other of ceasefire violations. It remains unclear how the current standoff will be resolved ahead of Wednesday's deadline. Throughout 2025 and early 2026, a pattern has emerged where unusual spikes in trading activity precede significant announcements from U.S. President Donald Trump. Financial markets globally have seen high volumes of trades just before major statements about geopolitical events like the Iran-US conflict or Venezuela's political situation. The UK's BBC reports that market movements occurred immediately after or even simultaneously with Trump's public statements, suggesting potential illegal insider trading practices. However, some analysts argue these spikes could simply reflect traders' ability to predict market reactions based on anticipated presidential statements. Financial regulators are under scrutiny as requests for investigation into these activities have been made without clear responses from the SEC and CFTC. Meanwhile, no conclusive evidence of wrongdoing has been provided by regulatory bodies. These incidents raise questions about whether insiders may be profiting before official information becomes public knowledge. The next step is a thorough investigation to determine if there's any truth to allegations of insider trading linked to Trump's major announcements. Strong winds have swept through parts of the Midwestern United States, causing significant damage to homes and disrupting daily life. On Friday, April 19, 2026, severe storms left at least 30 homes damaged in Minnesota, with further impacts felt across Wisconsin. Local officials are working swiftly to assess the full extent of the storm's impact on infrastructure and property. Homes were damaged by strong winds that ripped off roofs and caused structural damage, leading to residents being trapped in their basements due to flooding or structural integrity concerns. This storm is part of a seasonal pattern affecting rural Midwestern communities during spring and early summer months. Given the extent of infrastructure damage, officials expect prolonged recovery periods for affected areas. The exact number of damaged homes and the full scope of disruption remain under investigation, with local authorities urging residents to stay alert and follow safety guidelines as recovery efforts continue. Former U.S. President Barack Obama and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani made their first appearance together this past weekend at a child care center in the Bronx. The pair led an engaging session with preschoolers, singing familiar tunes like Wheels on the Bus. The children also taught the adults a K-pop song from the movie Demon Hunters, titled Soda Pop. Obama joked during the interaction that he made Mamdani feel old but kept spirits high, as everyone laughed and enjoyed each other's company. Mamdani shared his administration's vision for New York City, emphasizing support for its youngest residents in an Instagram post about the event. He highlighted a commitment to ensuring these children have the best possible start in life. The meeting reflected both leaders' dedication to community engagement and their focus on fostering a positive environment for young people.